Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Joshua and this is Rooftop. In today's workshop, we're going to be looking at how to draw a realistic cat. But this might sound a bit, very random, why is it a realistic cat and that too in pencil? So let me tell you why exactly. Now, most of us, we all have pets at home. I myself, I have around 3 birds at home. But we try to click pictures of them, try to find the cute angles, and sometimes it doesn't work out, or maybe even if it does, it can be a little bit boring. But what if I showed you, how we can draw our own pets? And that way, along with a photo, we can even have a drawing which can be done in our own way, hung up on a wall or maybe as a wallpaper, so on and so forth. So in this workshop, I'm going to be showing you how we will be drawing a cat, for example, in pencil, and I will be breaking it down to the basics and how we can start and how we can shade and overall simplify it so that anyone and everyone can do it. So let's begin. Okay, so I have a piece of paper here with me. Right now I'm using a 5 size, which is basically half of an A4 sheet. And I have my pencil and my very odd looking eraser. So, you know what, I can put up the reference as well so that you can see how it is. There you go. This is basically what we will be drawing. So let's see how we can start with it. So now we need to look at the overall shape. How high do we want it to be? So this is the top of the paper. I'll just darken this part a bit so you can see over there. And this is the bottom. Okay. Now I want the ears to reach somewhere around, let's say, this high. Alright, so from here what I can do is I can just start drawing the cat from here like this, very roughly. So I'm going to start with some very simple shapes, because what I want to do now is just in a way compose it in this frame that I have here. Okay, like this, and then I can start doing the head as well. I'm doing this very lightly so you can see how it is. So over here I'll bring it down to the forehead of the cat. This will be the nose. And then that will be the mouth, or the upper half of the mouth. And then this side we can draw the jaw like this. And this will be the neck. And then over here, very lightly I'm going to draw the chest of the cat. And now if you look at the reference over here, we can see from the jaw, if we go to the left, this is where the neck ends and the back would start. So now we have a very rough silhouette done. Okay, now once we're done with this, I will start placing down the eyes. So I'll start off with the nose, so I'll go from right to left basically. And one thing you can do, right, is when you want to try drawing your pets, is that if you click a photo of them, you can try to make it into black and white and then try to draw it in pencil. That way it will be a lot easier for you to draw. It won't be, too complicated looking at all the colors, looking at all the fur and everything. So this way I'll have the nose drawn over here just like this. We'll have the top of the nose, and then over here I can have the eye drawn as well. And again, I'm doing it very lightly. I'm not trying to have like a finalized drawing just yet. I'm just drawing down the shape to see whether it looks okay, whether the placement is fine. Now see this, I think I put it a little too forward. I don't need to bring it so close also. So I'll take this much further back, say around here. From here to this side. And take it down. And have the eye right over there, again very roughly. I'll just draw the iris here, and then for the ears we can start carving out this shape like that. And then here I'll place down the stripes that are there. Same thing this way. Again very roughly I'm putting it down, just like that. Over here, and then we have the fur on the body. Should come somewhere around here like this. Again over here, there you go, like that. Now we can start adding the darker tones to it. So I will start off with this side here. For the nose, and then the mouth. So for the mouth I'll darken it only halfway through. The rest I'll leave it little light. That way it will look really soft. And then the same thing here. There you go, just like this. So you can start seeing, the shape really take form. And this side, I'll just draw some lines like this. To sort of show that, there is fur on the forehead or on the head. And then this side from here, I will start darkening it. And I'll give it sort of like waves at the back to show that the fur is combed downwards. Okay, and then here I can shade it darker. But before I do that, I will give a very light tone inside here. So the technique I'm using is hatching. Like that. And then this side I can add a bit more shade over there. We can darken certain areas here, and this side I will add some fur. Now we can darken this area here. And then the top half, so I'll divide this area into half, like a vertical half, and the side near the outline, I can darken it a little more. So you can see how it's already starting to look so good. And so you can easily draw your pets, whether it's a bird, it's a dog, it's a cat. Some people even have snakes. I would love to see one, but I know one too many. So yeah, I can't believe I said that. Okay, we'll have the top of the eyes. Now for the bottom, we'll keep the line very thin to give that that very fragile kind of look. And inside over here, I'll first shade it a little bit, and then I can darken it inside, leaving just a very thin line in. So right now I'm using a 6 HB, but you can use, so let me tell you how to use it. So currently I'm not using like a set of pencils. For me, I can just manage with this one. But if you have a set of pencils at home, this outline that I've done over here, which you can see very lightly, I would suggest using HB or 2B pencils for that. Or you can just do the HB pencils for the very light rough lines. And then when you start to darken it slightly, like say this line over here, a bit over here, and the lightest tone in the ears, you can use a 2B pencil. So now even with a 2B pencil, let me show you. So I'll just move this to the side 1 second. So see now this 6B, if I do it like this, you can see how dark it is. But if I do it very lightly, you can barely even see it. So now that depends on how you use your pencil and how dark a pencil can get. So now if I do it lightly like this, you can get this with a 2B pencil. And then if you put a little bit more pressure, you can get a darker tone. But now the difference between HB and B pencils are, HB is basically a very hard graphite tip, meaning if you look at this line over here, you can see how easily smudged it gets. That's because this graphite is pretty soft. So most of the graphite stays on top of the paper, which then when you do smudge it, it will easily get smudged. But if you try that with an HB pencil, you will barely see it happening. It is possible, but it is not as much as this. And then when you go to the darker colors or the darker pencils like 4B, 6B, 8B, 10B, and then you have double E also, they tend to become much softer, hence giving out a much darker result. So when it comes to sketching, you can use a 2B or HB, and for the light tones also you can use an HB or 2B. Then once you're done getting the darkest tone, you can then move on to the 4B pencil. And if at all you do feel the need, normally you can stop at like 4B, you can then go on to the maybe 6B or 8B. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so coming back to the cat. Now over here, from the eyes, I think right about there, I can add these dark outlines here. Just like that. And then the same thing this side. So now normally you would go from light to dark, but for something that is like already very dark, you can just start with that immediately. And over here also. Now just make sure your pencil is sharpened. So if you look at my pencil here, I sharpened it with a blade. So I have a flat side and then I have a sharp side. So that way I can keep switching between, a flat or a much lighter drawing like this. Over here, I use the flat side of the pencil like this. And then for the darker ones, I used it like that. So I'm only using one corner, whereas when I keep it this way, I'm using a much wider tip. So now coming back to this. So you'll see me rotate the pencil. So now I'm using the flat tip just to get the rough outline done. And then when I want to darken it, I'll rotate it and then darken it just like that. And then the same thing here. And the reason why I'm using the flat side is because in case I make any mistake, it will be relatively easier to erase. My brain stopped at relatively easy and I said to erase in my head. But yeah, so there are many different ways of using a pencil also. Sometimes you can just scrape off the graphite and then use the powder that is made. That it will give a slightly charcoal kind of effect. But the difference would be is that charcoal doesn't shine in the light, whereas graphite, let me see if it will work here. There, you can see this light over here. This will not happen with charcoal. Since graphite is quite reflective, it has a tendency to do that. And then a little bit this side also. So it's not like you can't get dark lines with the flat side. You can get it, but you need to use relatively more pressure. But I like starting off with the flat side and then really going to the other parts. So over here I'm going for more of a zigzag kind of texture here. Okay, this all will connect like that. Now we can start with the shading. So from here we have these lines. Over here I can darken it a little bit. This one will come like that. And we have this sort of eyebrow like shape here also. I don't know if you all have noticed, but there are some cats with some very, very funny designs that they have. Some of them have like a mustache, some have some very funny designs on their back or maybe on the tail. And like this cat, this one's got eyebrows. Okay, and this nose, I can darken it a bit and then start there. Look at that. I've barely even started shading and it's already looking so good. And the technique again I'm using is hatching or cross hatching, whichever you want it to be, because I'm doing both basically. Okay, right about here, and then this part I can darken. And then the same thing here. So I'm going for a very directional kind of shading. So if you look at the face, it goes left to right or right to left. So hence I'm going for the slightly horizontal shading over here. And wherever you see like light and dark, over there we'll always start with the lightest part first. Like this. A little bit down here, a little bit on the jaw. We'll connect these two and then we can start to darken the part that needs to be darkened, like this. So I start with the lighter color, lighter tone, sorry, and then I'll go for the darker ones like that. Same thing this side. So again, I'm using individual lines, not a zigzag right now. Over here also, I can do it very lightly. Now the reason why I started with pencil is because if you go to try painting it, it can get a bit confusing, you know. Because cats, unlike us, they do not have this one or two colors. Like for us, it's a skin and then a hair. Most of it. So, but for cats or for animals, if you go to see, some of them depend on their fur. If they are very fluffy, then you'll see a lot of light and dark tones. And maybe if you look at some of the birds, they have a lot of reflective feathers as well. So instead of it being just a blue bird or just a black bird or just a white bird, you will have like a rainbow color also. Yeah. If you look at pigeons, for example, they are entirely what? Grey, light grey, dark grey. Some of them have white patches on it. Fair enough. But if you look at the neck area, it is grey, but from certain angles, they tend to have this very reflective sort of color as well. So then in that sense, it can get a bit confusing. So I decided to start off with the pencil so that we can practice it at home, try drawing a few sketches of our pets, and then once we build that confidence, and again I said confidence, not skill. once you build that confidence, we can then start to actually, paint them. And the reason why I said confidence is not skill is because skill is something that we can eventually get, but when it comes to confidence, we need to, get comfortable drawing such a different type of drawing or such a different type of painting. Now, eventually, it does boil down to, using the pencil or using paints. But when you actually go to draw it, you have to, see it in a slightly different manner as compared to what you would with maybe Indian art or landscape or portraits, in that sense. So over here also I'll add a little bit. This one's got such a tempting chin to, really pet. If you have a cat, you'll understand. So why don't you all tell me, what kind of pet do you all have? So I myself, I have 3 zebra finches, which are birds, and a friend of mine has 5 cats also, which I would like to consider them my own. So why don't you all tell me what pets you all have, or maybe a pet that you would want, or maybe you would want to adopt. If at all you do try or do plan on getting a pet, please adopt. Okay, so over here, you can see I'm using, so I'll just bring this a little bit closer. So you can see I'm only using lines. Now I would do it like this, but the paper is too flimsy. I might just make a hole in it. So yeah, so why don't you guys tell me in the comments what pet do you all have at home? So I also have a dog actually back in my hometown, and she is a very, very big dramatic queen. A dramatic queen? Drama queen. What am I saying? But yeah. So over here I'll just darken certain areas like this, and we'll try not making it too straight. We'll add some curves to it also, so like this over here, like that. You see, I'm just using lines, and I'm not focused on, okay, one for here, one for here, one for here. No, just go for the overall shape and the overall flow of it. So over here also, I will add a few lighter strokes, and then between them I'll add these few random darker strokes like this, and then over here also. This one seems to be quite the fluffy fellow. This. There you go, just like that. Now the whiskers, I will do that at the very end. I'm not going to focus on that right now. And I would suggest doing that also at the very end. Our main focus right now is all this fur, this fluffy fellow. So if you see, I am starting with a much lighter color or a lighter tone, and then I will go for the medium tone. So the best way, right, when it comes to pencil is to divide it into 3 tones: light, middle and dark. And then from there you can start building onto it. I'll hold this here and try not to put your hand over your drawing, or like now how I'm holding, hold the parts which do not have any pencil. Otherwise, not only will your finger get dirty, but you'll end up smudging these, really nice lines that you're creating. And then you might have to end up erasing or just have to, retouch it up. So then I've done the lighter tone. Now I can go for the darker ones or the middle ones. So for the middle ones, I'll do a little bit this side. Over here. And then a little bit towards the bottom. And now I'll go for the much darker ones, or the darkest ones, you could say. Also, come on guys, do you all not have pets, or are you just shy to tell me about it? Again, I say this all the time. I'm the one on camera, so you have nothing to be embarrassed about. This. Over there. A little bit down here also. We can soften that up a bit. And add it there just like that. Now we can come back and retouch certain areas. Like if I want this part to be a little bit softer, a little bit more visible, this side, this area seems to be okay. I'll just add a slightly darker tone there. Anywhere else? Over here maybe, to fluff this one up a little more. A little bit this side. Okay, and over here also we can darken it up just a little bit, not too much. That over here. And then a little bit on the inside, just like that. Now we can go for the whiskers. I was thinking, I'm like, there's something missing over here. I didn't realize the dots for the whiskers. Over there I'll add a dot. Over here as well. And I'll add a few dots there. For the mouth also I can widen this up. Thank you, Anushka. Now I can do the whiskers. So I'll just see which part of my pencil is sharp, and then I can, this will come about here, so I'll put that there. This one here. So there is one cat that does come to mind. Her name is Pearl, or how I would like to call her, Paul. So Pearl is quite the fellow. She might not, so she basically, her vocal cords are not developed, but she does have other ways to speak. A little bit there, and then this way. Yeah, not too much. Remember, we don't want to draw each and every whisker that is there. And then over here, a small one, then here, slightly big one. That got bent a little too much, but we'll keep it. That happens sometimes. There you go, just like that. I think this we can darken a little bit more. Just a tiny bit. So technically for me, I do not need to darken it, but on camera, it's not as dark as it seems. And then the eye as well. You can add the slight highlight to it, like this. But now I covered it up a little too much, so I will take my kneaded eraser and what's her personality like? Yeah, so I can just lighten this up with the eraser. Yeah, there you go. So Pearl's personality is, can't really point out. She has no resistance whatsoever. You can hold her, fold her, roll her, and she won't do anything. And she's crazy about treats. That's what I can say. So there you go. There is our realistic pencil cat. A realistic cat drawn in pencil. So I'll just show it to you. Nice, that turned out better than expected. And see, we can even darken up some areas here on the cheek. This, a very tiny bit here. This one can go a little bit higher. Now see, now if I want to soften up these lines, right, just around it I can add some darker tones or some middle tones, like that. Over here also, just a little bit. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that sound. So there you go. That is a pencil cat. Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed this workshop where we created, let me get the right angle. There you go. Where we created this cat. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got to learn a few techniques as well. And we will be having another workshop at 3:30. So stay tuned until then, and I will see you in a couple of hours. So take care and bye-bye.